What's going on, speculators? It's Rod for our Futures Fanatic kind of last minute, only 20 minutes left in the Friday stream here. I got way delayed. I normally don't stream on Fridays, but I wanted to come in and highlight a new feature in Tickblaze that I think is pretty cool in a release that they just released, and also talk a little bit about the results for the week, and got a great idea from someone who said, hey, why don't you recap some trades when you start these streams. So if you're first one in here, and you can just give me a one for picture and sound. I also want to remind everybody that this presentation is for educational purposes only, and the opinions expressed are those of the presenter. That's me. All trades presented should be considered hypothetical and should not be expected to be replicated in a live trading account. Make sure you read the rest of that, especially the Commodity Futures Trading Commission disclosure and the CFTC Rule 4.41. Okay, great. I don't think many people are going to join this afternoon, but I do have the chat up there so we can kind of look at the chat. What I wanted to cover first, I might just wait for some people to come in, but the first thing I wanted to note is that Tickblaze now has an auto updater. So whenever you go to log in to Tickblaze, if there's a new release, you can just click it, install it. It installs over the other one, works with the templates and desktops that I provide here. By the way, I'm not in any particular positions. Very good day over here on Ninja in the Tradevate accounts. And I actually passed another one, so there's only these two accounts, one account left, and then everything is a PA or a qualified for payout kind of account. So nice day over there. Again, if anyone ends up watching this, if you can give me a one for picture and sound, that would be great. So let me highlight this feature right here, which is a new feature on Tickblaze. Now, you might have seen this on some automated strats or strats on other platforms, but what this is doing is simply just plotting the entries and then the exits. And today I was just doing a little scalping, and this is just in one account. I believe I traded this in several accounts. There are the same trades in that account, kind of the same trades in this account. Okay, so the way you find this right here, thank you, Jim. The way you find this is you go to Data Series, and then you go to Add Edit Settings, and then you're going to come over to, let me just see that this is all on the screen, you guys can see it. You're going to come over to Properties, and they have this thing that's called Trade Connector Pen, right? So you can change the color if you want. You can change the thickness. So if I wanted to change the Trade Connector pen on a positive trade to purple or something like that, I could do that, right? If you don't like green and red, whatever, we make it dark violet. So go ahead and apply, and there you go. If you don't want to see that, you can turn them off. You can, of course, turn off the order text. But as you can see here, I was entering at 63.32, took a sell there, bought here, took a cover here and here. One thing I'm not quite sure of is where all these lines are coming from. I sent some looms into their developers just to understand what exactly is going on here, because I think it's plotting it from other trades. What I did was I did this with a copier on across a bunch of trades. So when we go to this particular account here, I think the settings should be, for the chart, have nothing to do with the account. So if I go over here to Data Series and Add Edit Session and go here, the connector pen is still there. What I wanted to see if I show order text. Yeah. See, so these trades are not from this particular account when I changed the account. So I'm going to figure this out. But anyhow, I think the original account that these were in was this one. Where is the account with the order text? Now the order text, yeah, right here. This one, this account right here. So just a starting point, I think I have done some trades in the NASDAQ as well, way back. Those were in the MES. Yeah, so here's some trades in the NASDAQ. And this is kind of cool. If I go ahead and turn on the order text here, well, it says show order text. So All right, well, that's why we're figuring this out in real time. Can you see there were trades? It's just not in this account, I don't think. So I'll have to figure this out because I'm not using a copier for everything. I'm kind of trading things individually. So you get the gist. There's now the ability to track your trades. See, this is what's interesting. See how it's not putting order text here? So what I think it's doing is tracking, and you can see these were losses here, right? So from here, took a loss down here, and then some wins here. But what I think is happening is it's showing the trades that were done for the instrument on the chart, but then only where you see the order text was that a trade that was done in this particular account. It'd be better, of course, if it was specific to every account, but maybe that's just not possible. I think that's how it's working. Let's see here. You do know that they show you the P&L per the instrument, right? Not the gross P&L. This is the P&L per instrument. That might be off the screen a little bit. Let me move it in here. So when you see this P&L, that's for the instrument that we're on. And let's see if, okay, yeah, so this is cool. So in this particular account, see how it's drawing lines from two different places? So one of the trades was done in this account. Another trade was done in another account down at this level. Same thing, I took losses, the same loss in this account here, because you can see the lines there. And this one's pretty cool. So let's get into what's actually happening here, right? Which is an entry at the -2s at the time, a little bit of chop, an add right here when we got outside the bands. I think this was close to a range trader level because remember, we're not going to add outside the bands very often, just on stay in your lane. And then had to take a close right here. Okay, so 23,207s from 23,227s and 249s, probably about $100, $140 loss. And then back in here at a nice level that then ended up getting us back inside the bands, closed them here. And then this is right where it starts to get very classic stay in your lane kind of action, where you're just buying the -2s, this next touch here and here. And the market today was not really giving us a whole lot of explosive moves to the upside. So what I do in those environments is just scalp on every little move it makes. I take profit. But clearly, if you went line to line, and there's probably some people in our group, give me a 1 in the chat if you're a member of our group and you remember the NASDAQ and you were trading it today and you did go what we would call line to line. Your first target is right here. Your extended target is right there at VWAP. And a perfect touch of VWAP. I know that many traders today were also taking shorts off of VWAP. And then hindsight, I was at the gym and doing other things. But if you were trading all day, another perfect touch, another perfect touch. You just had this very simple NASDAQ price action today between the -2s, 2 standard deviations from VWAP, and these touches right here. Okay? You didn't take any heat really. And then here we are, maybe one more time bouncing off that level there. So a big thank you to, there was a member of our group today that said these sessions would probably be good if before I open up to any questions or get on any kind of rants, to first do some reviews of the trades in the morning. And now with this new Tickblaze feature, we can do that, which is great. So that's what we did there. We got 2 more minutes until the market on close orders. It's been a very quiet, sleepy afternoon. I wouldn't expect a whole lot going on. I do want to make sure that I don't have any orders resting over here on, I'm going to cancel all my orders on Tradeovate/Ninja, and then also come over here to the orders on Tickblaze and cancel all those as well. I'm sure you guys know this if you use Tickblaze or any platform. You just want to come right here and just cancel all orders.
Order canceled.
And then you go and check that you have no positions, and we're all good. All right. So there is about 10 more minutes left in this Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend. If you have any questions, you can pop them in there, and I could address some of those today. But again, the stream was really about being aware of this new feature. 2 new features. One, the auto update that happens in Tickblaze, which is pretty nice. The other thing to be aware of, if you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications, all that things with this stream. It's going to help because next week I'm going to be doing some very specific things around some brokers, another prop firm that I'll also be trading on Tickblaze. And I will update the description in the video next week for the new desktop, which is going to be the same desktop that you see here for Tickblaze. Let me move my head down here for this. So it's the same desktop that you see here. I want to try this over here and see if I can turn it. See this? This is kind of ugly to me on this time frame. So what I want to do is go to here and go to properties and turn off the connector pens and hit OK. Good. So I want to keep my 30-minute clean. I don't want to see the trades there on the 30-minute. But what the new desktop will be is it will be this 30-minute range trader as well as the tick stay in your lane, and then I've also created stay in your lane with 5-minute bars so that it looks similar to TradingView right here. Okay. Speaking of TradingView, let me see here it is. Another profitable day. I'd set a little mini goal for myself to focus on these enough to do 200 so that they would at some point qualify for payout. I don't really care about qualifying for a payout, but I do want to show that with managing risk properly and this type of approach that it should be relatively simple. Remember, I have like just way too much, so much shit going on that I can't just sit and watch this. If I were to sit and watch this, I should reasonably be able to do $200 days almost every single day. And I have a copier here with 2 other accounts. These are all XFAs. We're just trading the same exact method. But I mention this because obviously this is TradingView as well. But TradingView Project X or TopStep X hasn't yet opened up their platform so that you can put your own indicators in it. Hopefully, maybe at someday that will be the case. But it's not very hard to just have the stay in your lane strategy right here, and then you just place your orders at the various levels that you need to over here, either on the chart or on the dome. So that's that. All right. Doesn't sound like there's any kind of questions or feedback today. We had the market on close orders and just nothing happened. So I think we can kind of leave it at that if there's no questions that are coming in. I always encourage everybody to check the description for the video that you're watching if you're interested in finding out more about some of the free resources that I offer, including the Prop Done Right ebook. Has a 10-video course lesson that you can watch as well. And on the website, there's plenty of other resources at tradersdebitgroup.com. And the best way to really figure out if anything around what I'm saying is useful to you is to check out our trade room trial for 2 weeks. That's the only thing that I quote unquote offer as a exchange of value for money, because I'm a firm believer that really the only way that you can learn anything is to practice and develop the skill. And the best way to do that is to have that practice be deliberate. And by deliberate, I mean you're actually walk forward testing a strategy that you're seeing on the screen, and you can ask questions and you can figure out if this is for you. If keeping your blood pressure under control, almost never being frustrated or confused or unclear, because there's a lot of nuance, of course, but if I just tighten this up, all this area right here is what we would call a bid zone. And sometimes, but not always, you can Just buy anywhere in here. Buy anywhere in here. And then take profits as it approaches VWAP. Now, if I were to buy in here, I would be scalping right out here. And the reason I would be scalping out here is because, to my knowledge, we haven't touched VWAP since 9 o'clock this morning. So the whole idea behind trading is to develop situational fluency so that you can adapt and trade within the market regime and situation that's going on. Today, it's been 4 or 5 hours since we touched VWAP. So we might hit it just here in the next 5 minutes, but for the most part, don't have targets that haven't been tested several times, especially as an active trader, right? Adapt, be fluid, understand when and why you should be holding more inventory for bigger moves. Understand the times in which you are okay just scalping and taking tighter targets. But under no circumstance do you ever adjust your risk budget. That's the only thing that is ironclad, and the only time your risk budget increases is when you earn the right to increase it based on performance. Daily performance, generating alpha above and beyond your risk, generating truly risk-adjusted returns. If your risk budget is $250, you need to be aiming for at least 3 to 5 sessions in 20 in which you exceed that. If you are not capable of exceeding a daily risk budget, then you can never increase it. I don't care if, this is important, I don't care if your account doubles. Now, at some point, if your account triples, you can use the 10% rule. If you have a $2,500 account and you grow it to $6,000, 10% of the starting balance is $250. You can take up to 10% of your starting account balance. If you grew it to $6,000, now you could have a $600 daily risk budget. But if you decide to increase your daily risk budget to 10% of your new account value, this is why they have consistency rules and stuff as well, and you just so happen to make $2,000 or $3,000 one day, but that's you don't generally exceed your daily risk budget on the upside by something like that, and now all of a sudden your account is at $6,000. You're like, well, Rod said I could do 10% of my daily risk budget, and now I'm trading $600, but you've never really averaged or made $600 in a trading session. You're going to get screwed because you're going to see that you now take all that additional risk, and all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, now I just lost 3 days in a row my max risk budget of $600, which at that point, $1,800 is literally twice what you would have lost if you stayed with your original daily risk budget of $250. So it's just sort of math, but it's also math that involves a little bit of nuance. Okay, let me answer these questions real quick and then we'll call it a weekend. Rod, in your experience, why does stopping for the day when the DRB is hit to come back tomorrow tend to work out? Again, just math. It's not tend to work out. Like, you have no choice. You have to drink this Kool-Aid, gang. Just drink this Kool-Aid. I just want you to drink this Kool-Aid. I appreciate the questions, but it's the good old just listen to me. Just like your parents used to say. Why? Why not? Because I told you so. There's 3 factors that come into play. 1, if you lose a lot of money, even on one day, it is very hard for us to come back for our emotional capital to be repleted. If you lose a reasonable amount of money 2 or 3 days in a row, it will start to suck. You'll feel it a little bit, but your emotional capital will stay intact. So part of this is just, I'm not a fan of trading psychology, and I think it's all nonsense and bullshit. If you're an elite performer, no problem. If you are the Tiger Woods of trading, sure, you can have a couple shrinks that help you out to squeeze out that last bit of performance that does happen to take place between the 6 to 8 inches in your head, between your ears. So the first reason is it's easier on your emotional capital, a lot easier. I'm sure you've seen some of the studies where we feel pain or disappointment at 2 to 3 times, sometimes 5 times how we feel pleasure, or how we feel, it's dopamine and serotonin and all these chemicals mixing around in our brains. I'm not anti-brain chemistry. I'm just anti-trading psychology. So that's the first reason. The second reason that's very important why it just tends to work out is because just the math of what you've seen a million times, right? Which is look at the amount of returns that you have to generate for drawdown, right? You guys, give me one in the chat if you guys have seen that chart. I have it in one of my blog posts. I have it in several blog posts. How much return do you have to do if you draw down your account by 50%? What do you have to make to get back to even? You draw down your account by 50%. What do you have to make just to get back to even? Well, you guys are going to say eventually, I know it's 100%, right? You need 100% return when you just draw down 50, right? So given that, that's the second reason that it just tends to work out. You can't put yourself in that situation. When you put yourself in that situation, whether you're in a prop firm where you just go, screw it, I'm just going to blow this thing up and pay $15 or 20 or 30 or $50, or I'm just going to reset it and pay 50 or $100. And then in a live account, it can be even worse where you just go kamikaze and you just blow the rest of your money. Okay? And then the third reason, and sort of equally important for this type of stuff, is that it allows you to, and this is what I was mentioning before, to truly measure your risk-adjusted return. Look, Calmar, Sartino, Sharpe ratio, all that stuff is nonsense for small account. Those are for portfolio management metrics that you could use if you were in that game. You're not in that game. The simplest way for you to determine if you're actually making progress is how well you perform with a very strict risk budget. And if you do not overlay that into your prop trading, you will have no stats that are meaningful at all. Oh, but I passed and I took a big payout, and then I took another payout, and then I blew one up, and then I did it again, then I tried another strategy, then I did it again. The only thing you have to do is abide by that daily risk budget. The profits will take care of themselves, even if it's a $250 or $300 daily risk budget and your profits are $90, then $40, then $60, then $10, then you shit like an elephant that day and lose $250. You're going to still stay in the game. Eventually, you of course have to get off the bunny slopes and understand where and how and to put on slightly more size. You can call it conviction or whatever, or how to more early on identify the market regime that's going on. I just want to make sure that I have no working orders anywhere. Just 1 second. I know that Top Step closes them, but because the market is closed. No, so I have no working orders there. I have no working orders there. I have no working orders there. Okay, cool. So let me get on my soapbox one more time, and I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the third reason is around being able to truly generate and understand what your alpha is for your account. All right, Jason D, good question. That only took 20 minutes to answer. Let's see if I can get through the other ones. Does it work with the market open? Was what work? I don't exactly understand that question, but I'll say very often, for everything that I teach and train on, and if you're serious about being a futures trader, I'm going to suggest that you need to be able to watch an hour before and an hour after the New York session open, which is around 8:30 to 11:30-ish New York Standard Time. If you can't do that, it becomes a little difficult. Yes, you can trade the DAX. Yes, you can trade micro Bitcoin, which tends to move overnight a little bit, but the best thing is to have that cash is to watch the New York Open, and that is exactly what these two strategies are designed for. Thoughts on the close flip algo by Tickblaze? I have no idea. I don't know or use any. Tickblaze and NeuroStreet have been developing algos and bots and trading strategies for a long time. I can't comment on the effectiveness of them. I'm not a huge fan of that in general, just because for the most part, you need to understand the theory and logic. And if you want to automate stuff, that's fantastic. If you want to create your own bot or make sure you automate your entries, but you need to start first by walk forward testing and understanding what the logic is that you're telling the computer to do. If you buy it from someone else, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but things have to constantly be recalibrated and such like that. So I don't really use any indicators other than the things that are based on volatility and volume. And I just want to know what's the volatility regime look like, and what's the volume that's going on in what I'm trading. I'm currently working with PS compliance team because I triggered HFA every day due to the quick stop outs and quick re-entries. Okay, cool, Jonathan. So I had mentioned before that, to my knowledge, PropShop is one of the only ones that that will alert you to potential trading, not potential, alert you to a trading behavior that they want to either discuss with you or say is not going to be consistent with what they're looking for. So I hope you work it out. I will tell you, Jonathan, if you're hitting that too often, you may want to look to change your trading style a little bit. It's not going to work in live markets consistently to really grow, and they won't really be able to put a lot of capital behind you. They might pay you out in your sim stuff, but that's probably not a trading style that. So I have about 20 traders that I back, and I've looked at traders for the last 20 years. I was a principal and kind of co-founder at Collective 2, looking at over 55,000 trading strategies, and really rapid trading just does not work. It doesn't work. You can't put a lot of capital behind it because you're not truly an HFT, right? If you're a high frequency trading organization, they're scalping and making pennies on billions of shares, right? That's not the game that we're in. But I'm glad that you're finding the compliance stuff. Nothing that I'm showing is algorithmic. My coded up stuff is a little bit of it now has been moved to Python, but most of it's in C#. And if you're doing something on TradingView, you'd be using something called PineScript, which is basically just VB. I would not recommend that for active live trading. I have a number of different VPSs. The ones that I use for my heavy duty institutional stuff, and I love it. I created a little short video the other day where I said, friends don't let friends trade on Macs. Of course I did that so that I would get thousands of comments and stuff. I know people just lose their fucking mind when you talk about computers. I was simply just mentioning that Windows or Java or C# or thick client trading applications are still predominantly on Windows, right? There's plenty of things. You can run a virtual server on your Mac. You can use Parallels or other virtualization, and it's absolutely fine for point and click trading and for all these prop programs. But if you eventually got serious, you'd probably want to look at making sure that you're using a Windows machine and a native Windows machine as opposed to virtualization. All that being said, for most people, I think that NinjaTrader Mobile is fine. The ones I use are very expensive, and they're based in Chicago, and I don't care to share much about that. Otherwise, that'll just tell you. But I pay more in some of those servers than probably anybody that would be listening to my stream would be comfortable doing, and you don't need all that stuff. So just look at NinjaTrader Mobile, or you could just Google, VPS. I would recommend, if you can, having at least 16 gig of RAM on the machine. I think that's useful. A lot of the time they are just 8 gig of RAM, and they're just underpowered machines. Is Brad still killing it? We like to make fun of Brad. All right, so you guys use NinjaTrader Mobile. All right, I think we got through everything. It's a little past 4 o'clock on the left coast. Thanks so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. It does help. I know I feel like I'm just pleading every time, but if you can hit the thumbs up button, it helps the algorithm understand that this is content that people like. And if you're not already subscribing to the channel, please do. For everything else that I do here, if you're not familiar with it, check the description down below. And tune in next week where I will be changing, and you'll have a new desktop for free. If you're using Tickblaze, you can get access to that new desktop. Also down below is some codes if you want to support what I'm doing here and my channel. For PropShop right now, we're using code TDG-EVAL if you're choosing one of the evals, and TDG for the straight to funded type of things. And I believe they're running a special right now where it's 50% off activation fees. So that could really make the cost of some of these very, very low relative to other places. So have a great weekend, everybody. Stay green, trade like you mean it. Thanks. Be good. Bye-bye.